I want to welcome everybody to the August I Am Piscataway, and we're very fortunate enough to have here in studio a very world-renowned motivational speaker here locally in Middlesex County by way of Woodbridge, former Rutgers standout football player and current motivational speaker Eric Legrand, who everybody knows by now worldwide. And we're very fortunate enough that he actually stopped by the Piscataway Senior Center and to talk to our local seniors, which they very much appreciated, Eric. And now he's here in studio. So Eric, if there's anybody out there in the general Middlesex County, state of New Jersey that has never heard of who Eric Legrand is, do you want to give us a little couple minutes snippet, and then I'll pump you for some questions on there who Eric Legrand is and what is Eric Legrand up to these days?
Absolutely. Well, it's great to be here with you, Mayor. And I am Eric Legrand. I'm a former Rutgers football player who had a paralyzing injury back in 2010. In the beginning, the prognosis was very grim, but I've overcome a lot over the past 13 and a half years or so, and been able to set up a nice life for myself with the motivational speaking and start a foundation and other entrepreneurship activities.
And we'll get into that in a few minutes.
Absolutely. But other than that, I've been able to, battle back from a lot of adversity that was thrown my way at an early age and living my life to the fullest.
Yeah. So, Eric, when you had the injury, did you think that life was going to come to a standstill, or did you just get out there and say, I'm not going to let this stop me with my life? I'm going to get engaged, get involved. What was that like going through? I mean, not many people could probably can imagine what you've gone through, but obviously you took it in a whole different direction than what most medical people or mental health people would say would happen to somebody that suffered an injury like you.
Yeah, it was tough in the beginning because I didn't know where my life was going to take me. I was 20 years old, living my dream, playing Division I college football right here in New Jersey and hoping to make it to the NFL. That when this injury happens to you, it's like, okay, what's next? Like, how do I first get myself healthy, get out of the hospital, then get into inpatient rehab to start my rehab journey and recovery in my therapy sessions with my PT and OT. And then it's like, okay, after that, what are you going to do with life? And kind of had to figure that out fast, but I had such a great support system. People reaching out to me, anything that I needed or whatever way I wanted to go in the direction of my career. People were there to help me along the way. I was very fortunate enough to have that. And I've always been a motivated person and, something that if it's challenging, I want to do it. So I think that's kind of the mindset I took into my injury, and knowing I had a whole lot of challenges ahead of me, I wasn't going to be afraid of them and back down from anything I wanted to achieve.
So you just mentioned about a whole support network. That just doesn't happen overnight. How did that happen for you, that support network? And you ended up obviously building a wider network over time. So how did that initially start?
I think it's from my childhood, the way my mom raised me. Treating everyone with respect. I wasn't that troublemaking kid. Did I get in trouble as a kid? Of course, everyone does. But I always was respectful. I always made sure that I was accountable. I showed up on time. I was a great with the community. I was a part of the community, whether it came with sports or if it was just getting involved in other extracurricular activities. I was always there showing up, and I respected all my elders around me. And when my injury happened, people wanted to give back to me and help me out because they always remember how you treat them, and that you always can leave that impression on somebody. So right away, people in my town came out to support me, and whatever my family needed, they were there for. And then my attitude, as I started to attack this injury, people started to gravitate towards me and they wanted to be around me more. And what could they do to be a part of my journey? And that's kind of what jump-started everything as I started to grow my attitude.
So let's talk very briefly about the medical injury. So historically, when something happens to an individual, when the doctors tell you what's wrong, you sort of start delving into, hey, I need to do a little bit of research on this because you want to make sure it's on the up and up. I mean, did you feel that same way? Hey, do I need to delve into or have some other, a caregiver like your mom, your folks, or some other family members help decipher what does this really mean for me as a person and for my future?
Yeah, I think that was with my mom, my my family and Cosciano, he was a part of that as well, making sure I was in the best of care, that I was getting the proper treatments, that I was taking step by step in the right direction, that there was no shortcuts being taken. And then obviously as I started to heal and my body started to go through adjustments, because they always say with a spinal cord injury, every one of them is different and everyone's body handles certain things certain ways. I was starting to get a feel and a grasp of things that I could do, things that I couldn't do, and things I needed a little bit of help on. And then obviously as you go into, some time into your injury, as, maybe a year or two, then you start, doing more research on therapies and things of that nature. Myself, and get into the foundation side of things. So yes, you do your own research, but in the very beginning, I had a great team around me that was making sure there were no shortcuts in my recovery.
So you just spoke a little bit about getting involved in the foundation. Are you talking about the Christopher Reeve Foundation, or are you talking about the foundation that you set up?
Well, they're both part of it. So I am a fundraising branch of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. So Team Legrand was...
You might want to explain
Yes.
a little bit of what the Christopher Reeve Foundation
So
is.
Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation was formed after Christopher had his injuries, the original Superman, in the movies in the 70s and the 80s, and he had a paralyzing injury, I believe, in 1995. And unfortunately, he passed away, but they had done so much in those 10 years as his foundation was going, him and his wife Dana, that they were incredible. And then Dana passed away a year after Chris. And I felt like kind of everything went into like kind of like the shadow after that. Then my injury happened in 2010, and then I learned more about the foundation. I felt like the torch was being passed along to me, and that's why my mom and I formed the foundation in 2013 to raise funds for paralysis. We wanted to help people, obviously, find a cure, but also help people in the meantime as they're going through this. The Paralysis Resource Center, it's a 24/7 operation where people can call that has a spinal cord injury. They'll offer you support, guidance, whatever is needed. You're going through a tough time, there's someone there for you as a peer mentor. If you're looking for insurance information, there's someone there to guide you along depending on which state you live in. So it's huge what the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation does. So I wanted to be a part of that, making sure that I'm funding that and giving the 5.6 million Americans some sort of hope for what they're doing. They're dealing with this paralysis injury and just being able to give back to the community.
So obviously, by being involved in the foundation, you've built up a whole different network of people that are in the same predicament as you are. But more importantly, did you strike out some new friendships from?
Oh, absolutely. New friends along the way, and people that come out to my events and support me, and I can support them where I can. And, it's kind of like you build like a brotherhood. My good friend Alan Brown, who's been in a wheelchair for 35 years. It's just the family that you never want to be a part of, but once you're in it, we got you for life, and we'll support each other. We got each other's back. All
right, so you talked a little bit about the foundation. You're still obviously involved in the foundation. What the other entities that you're branching out in? I mean, you've matured into an entrepreneur. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? And I do know that you opened up some different things, and then there's the PR side of it. But let's talk about you as a Eric Legrand, the entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, first I started with motivational speaking. People told me that I have a story to tell, and I've always been a pretty good storyteller, and I had to learn. And I remember when I first started telling my story, because people wanted to hear about it, they wanted to know what those hospital days were like. They wanted to know what was rehab like, what was going through my mind. When I first started telling my story, it was like 100 miles per hour, and people were like, it's a great story, but you got to slow down. Like, we need to feel those dramatic pauses, the emphasis on your story. So I just started doing it over and over and over again. And as I started to get better at it, people wanted to hear more and more. And as my story was continuing going on, it's like it wasn't stopping. It was still growing. Then that led into the foundation, getting that off the ground. And now we're into 2024, and I have a coffee shop now in my hometown of Woodbridge, New Jersey, which our online store started in 2021, and we've been able to ship to all 50 states. So
how did you end up getting involved in coffee? It's not like somebody off the street will just say, hey, I just want to get involved in the coffee industry. How does that end up happening?
During the pandemic, after being bored at the house for so long and watching TV, I was listening to audiobooks from people like Carly Lloyd, David Goggins, and I even listened to 50 Cent on his entrepreneurship side of things. I was just trying to draw inspiration, motivation. I said, I want to bring people together. And I thought of what do people want? What do they need in life? coffee. 85% of the world drinks coffee. And I'm like, if I could create a coffee brand, that's some people that drink multiple times a day. It's just a daily affirmation to go out there, live your life to the fullest. And our motto is we want to bring unity to the community with a daily cup of Believe. And my motto's been Believe ever since my injury. And we wanted to make sure that people were drinking that cup of Believe with our
Well,
coffee.
I have to laugh, Eric, because I noticed that people who are deep thinking coffee drinkers, unless they have a very good cup of coffee in the morning, they could be grouchy for the rest of the day.
Absolutely. That's why I made sure when I was sourcing my beans, I'm like, I can't serve up any dirt
So
water.
did you
There's
do a
not no
lot of
dirt water.
research on buying beans or having,
I'll tell you
because there's
what.
many areas of the world where you could buy coffee beans.
Yeah, so a funny thing though, the simple as it gets, I went on Google and I typed in coffee business advisor. And now my good friend, who's my business advisor, Matt Mileto, out of Portland, Oregon, owns a company, Bellissimo Coffee Business Advisors. They help people open up coffee shops. They've been doing it for 25
No
plus
kidding.
years. I had to take a course. I'm not gonna lie, I failed the course 3 times. 3 times before I finally passed it on the 4th time and started to really understand what it's like running a coffee business, understanding the sourcing of the beans, where they come from, being able to get the proper roasters, things of that nature. And then once I finally felt comfortable with it, I just took the leap of faith and said, I'm doing it. And in the beginning, it was very stressful. I tried to use a local roaster. He wasn't able to keep up with the demand. I had to get rid of him after a month. Then I went into more of a commercial roaster. And then we're able to really start getting this business out there. And it's been quite a journey. Is every day easy? Absolutely not. It's a grind, no pun intended. But I'm having fun, and I'm giving employment opportunities to so many people.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like a lot of people, if they have their own coffee maker, some of them, if they grind the beans before they put it in.
Those are the serious ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, they don't know what necessarily goes into preparation of the beans for you to get to the point that you can grind them in your own house.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the ones that are getting whole beans, we know they take their coffee serious if they get them grounded. So the thing is, when you get a whole bean coffee, when you grind it, you're getting the freshest of the fresh.
Well, that's my wife. She's a whole
I love
bean.
that. When you get it already grounded, sometimes after a while, it can lose its taste for a little bit. But if you drink it fast, you'll be good. But if you got somebody ordering whole bean coffee, you're like, okay, that person's serious about their coffee.
All right. So, what other entrepreneurials? I guess you have a whiskey line, I think, or something like that.
Yep, I got into.
So let me think. Coffee, whiskey. So, is it you do the whiskey first, and then you have the coffee to wake you up from the whiskey?
I tell people I'll take care of you in the morning, I'll take care of you in the evening. So with the bourbon line, I got into it because I travel all over the country and the world, and a lot of times people see me have a cocktail, and they look at me in a wheelchair, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I can't enjoy the finer things in life. Yeah. And I remember I reached out to my now business partner, Brian Axelrod, who's been in the business for forever. He's worked with the likes of Jay-Z and Conor McGregor. I told him I wanted to start my own spirits business. He goes, yeah, you and everybody else. And then he said, you know what, let me think about this. He came back to me the next day, goes, your story is unique, it's genuine, it's authentic, it's not a gimmick. I think we have something here with this. And we agreed upon bourbon because, one, we both enjoy it, but two, it fits me. It takes patience and time to make bourbon. You can't make it overnight like you can with a gin or a vodka.
Well, I think obviously bourbon's like a big deal. Like they have designer bourbons on, especially in the U.S. because where it's made.
Exactly.
So that probably was more of a natural fit.
Exactly. It's tough. It's gritty. It's something after a long day you pour it on the rocks, you raise a glass to, and then get a good night's sleep afterwards. So it fits me perfectly. And then we said, we're gonna get some great sources. It's coming from Kentucky because you know how they say pizza and you get it from New Jersey or New York. That's the best water. Same thing with Kentucky. You're getting bourbon. You can get it from other places, but if you want to have the credibility, the high standards, you get it from Kentucky, and that's why we created.
So obviously you've been down to Kentucky, down there to distilleries and things like that. So did some of the more professional bourbon makers or people that have been in the business for decades on end just look at you as some fly-by-night Yankee coming in trying to make some bourbon?
It didn't work out like this. So funny, our partners at Bardstown down in Kentucky, one of their actually CEO was in the military. Actually had a spinal cord injury. He's up and walking and everything,
kidding.
But yes, he has to suffer a spinal cord injury. So he heard about me and knew my story, and right away he was like, this is something we have to make happen. This is what we're going to do. And where our partners over at Brandiamo help us find the bourbon with the Green River Distillery. And once, I remember, I'll never forget, they sent it to us as a taste test. And this was at 115 proof. And I'm saying to myself,
it's a little strong there.
I'm like, what am I getting myself into? This is about to be like rubbing alcohol. I remember I took a sip. I'm not going to lie, man, it went down smooth. And I said, let me take another sip. And my business partner goes, we're going to proof that down even to 88 proof. It's going to be even smoother. Took a sip of it at 88 proof. I said, you know what? We got something here. And that's it.
Wow, that's an interesting coffee bourbon. So what other things have you been delving into since?
I mean, I've been really focusing on those two things, but, I really still am going with my foundation. We host events. Like, we have our 5K, usually it's a 5K at Rutgers that we do every single year, but we usually do it in the month of June, but we wanted to get the Rutgers community more involved. So this year, we're telling people to do the 5K on their own, wherever they are, one rock wall, but we're going to do a big celebration on September 7th at Rutgers.
So we got to make sure we put that up on the screen.
Yes.
September 7th.
September 7th, we're going to meet at the top of the boardwalk before the game at 9 o'clock, and we're going to march down the boardwalk all together, dressed in our Walk to Bleed shirts. That goes right into a tailgate that we're throwing, and then into the football game. And we're going to have a big celebration for that walk. So we're telling people to do the walk on their own, do the run on their own, whatever you want to do, the 5K. Sign up, and for $52 you get a T-shirt, a ticket to the game, and a free tailgate.
That's a pretty good deal.
Exactly, that's a pretty good deal.
In this day and age, in most college venues, $52, you've been
lucky to get in the building.
You can't even get in the building. That's especially in the Big Ten games.
So we're telling people to go to ChristopherReeve.org/AWTB and be a part of our Walk to Believe, our 5K, and come celebrate with us on September 7th. And just say it's going to be a party.
And then I believe they're playing Akron from Ohio. So right there, a game. So they're the mid-conference team or whatever it is?
Yeah, they're MAC. They're in the MAC
conference.
Yeah, they're in the MAC conference, Akron too. So
Middle America Conference, whatever it is. All these acronyms out there.
Believe me, that now with all the conference realignment, it's kind of crazy. So you never even know which team is which anymore.
So let's talk very briefly about the football. And you do, just for those folks that know, if you've never heard on WCTC or some of the stations that cover Rutgers football, Eric is one of the color commentators on there. We were fortunate enough this past month to have the head football coach, Greg Schiano, on to stop by for about a half hour to give us a little update on what he perceives for this coming season. So as somebody that's not affiliated with the football team that can take a step back and see, what do you think is going to transpire with the football team? I mean, you hear all the sports reporters talking. They have a very favorable schedule. I mean, granted, you're not playing Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan all back to back, but there are some other good quality teams that they are having to play. USC, UCLA, Washington State, out there. So, I mean, the dynamics. Did you ever, as a former Rutgers football player, did you ever think that we would be in the Big Ten and then playing former Pac-10 schools all merged in?
I mean, when I was there, we were in the Big East, and I know that coach always wanted to get into the Big Ten, so that was cool to see that happen. But never in the likes I think of us playing against USC, UCLA. We did play Washington.
Or UCLA coming to Piscataway to play.
I know. It is, like I said, conference realignment now is just a whole different topic, but I'm excited for this season. As you see, you've done your homework, so you know a little bit about the schedule and the favorable schedule. And this team is a very veteran team. They have a lot of guys that have been in the program now for quite a few years with Coach, and they know his philosophies and his strengths and the weaknesses of what they had to work on. So it's exciting to see what the potential is with this team. Kyle Manugai coming back, the Big Ten leading rusher. They got a great defense. Oh, my God, the guys that they have out there on the defensive side of the ball where Coach Schiano really focuses on. And then Ethan coming in at QB, I really think it's going to take us to that next level, being able to complete more passes down the field. Being able to
so I think that has the potential of being a huge game changer for the season for the football team because, typically with the former QB there, didn't throw a lot of passes. Now, granted, a lot of it's being played call by the offensive coordinator. However, there didn't always seem to be that confidence when he threw the ball that it was going to get there. And so thus, I don't know whether you had a very good running back, and you still have very good running backs out there. So maybe this might be a blessing in disguise. And then have the opposing team defenses really have to rethink what they're going to do offensively now.
Well, yeah, if you can throw the ball and you can run the ball, that's a defensive nightmare. And obviously we know Rutgers can run the ball. Even when you know it's coming, you still got to stop it. But now if you add the passing game to it, as I said, the downfield passes, that keeps one of those safeties not having to come down into the box, which opens up a whole lot more for the offense and the offense coordinator to call plays. So that's why I'm so excited for this season. I've been telling people 9-10 wins since January, February. Like I said, this team whoever comes back, when all those guys start to come back, I'm like, this team has the chance to really have one of the best years that they've had in a very long time, and I'm very confident in that.
So I want to just tell very briefly, and I did talk to Coach Shiano, I could believe about this, is that, the toll it takes on the players, because, like some of these road games are on the West Coast. Yeah. Because they're leaving, on Wednesday night or something to go out there? It depends upon when the game starts, if it's Saturday. Like one of them is like the USC game's a Friday night game, so which means they may be leaving Tuesday night to head out there.
Yeah, I will say for football, it's very structured. It's actually the other sports I'm kind of nervous about, like the ones like the women's soccer team, lacrosse, field hockey, like those travel schedules, because they play 2 games in a week. Those are going to be the crazy ones. For football, we are very structured. So when going out to the West Coast, I'm sure they'll go out there Friday night game. They'll probably fly out Wednesday, get adjusted to the time on Thursday, go through the practice on Thursday, out there, go all the stuff, and then by Friday.
Well, because like that game is supposedly 8 o'clock their time, which would be 11 o'clock East Coast time.
Yeah, it's going to be
and your body's not normally, used to the change.
Let's just say Coach Shiano and his staff, they will have those guys prepared. So they'll do things during training camp, leading up to it, that makes you practice at maybe 10 p.m. at night one day, 11 p.m. So your body starts to get adjusted to know what it feels.
They may have a practice that
They may have a night.
Thursday night.
They might have maybe not the night before the game, but leading up to it, they will have a late night practice to see this is what it's going to be like as before we go out, to USC, just so your body can get adjusted to it. And yes, it's a little bit tough, but hey, UCLA has to come out here too, so it's a little bit of time difference too for other teams. But that's what life is now when you're having teams playing across in 2 different times or 3 different times away.
So as far as recruiting efforts of this expanded Big Ten, as far as relationship to Rutgers, has it been positive?
Oh, they're crushing it. Recruiting right now, they are really doing amazing. They should finish with a top 25 class again, and that's going to be huge. And they're getting players from not only New Jersey, but we need obviously New Jersey, but back down in Florida, the DMV area, venturing out into the Midwest regions, because obviously as time goes on, coaches have came back to Rutgers. They've also learned other different territories throughout the country where they now have relationships and recruiting some of those players. So it's pretty cool to see the recruiting class that they put together. I remember they
the recruiting
to number 5 at one point.
Because I remember when Greg Schiano first came, he wanted me the New Jersey as a wall around from Penn State not coming in, but now it's apparently that Greg and his staff now, the second go around, they've expanded that envelope for the Northeast.
Oh yes,
and down the Florida area, and then other parts of the country.
Yeah, it was big. It was big when he was here the first time. New Jersey and Florida. Obviously, he had a lot of connections down to Florida, but New Jersey and Florida were his 2 bread and butters. Now it's definitely expanded. Like I said, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and throughout the Midwest now. But no matter what, you still got to keep the Jersey kids home. As many kids from Jersey that you want to get, you can try to keep as many of them home, because we have some of the best talented players here in the entire country. In this small little state with so many people, we have a lot of talent here in New Jersey. So
for you, we just finished up speaking about the Rutgers football team. What's it like for you to be the color commentator on a team that you were a player at one time on the field? and now you're in the box with the other column. What's that like professionally for you?
It keeps me involved. I keep up with everything because it's my job. I have
You
to
do a
know
lot
what's
of
going on.
reading of sets of
articles
interviews.
that come out, interviews, keeping up with the team, being able to go back on campus for all the home games. Keeps me involved with the Rutgers community. And like I said, I've been doing this since 2012, so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to see where the program
And I
is
noticed
now.
when the away games, I listened to the station, and when you're on there, you've been fair on both sides. Like as you said, when you've seen the ugly, you call it out.
I've seen some tough days. Let's just
Yeah.
say that I remember being up in the box and where we're getting beat by Michigan. I think like 78-0. We're sitting there, Chris Carl and I and Ray Lucas were talking about candy corn.
Yeah.
I those are the topics to talk about. But yes, I try to call it as I see it. I don't want to, just because I'm a Rutgers guy, I don't want to be a homer too much. So I want to, if it's bad, if it's ugly, I'm going to say it. And if it's good,
Well, you know what? It's really funny. I remember when Ray Lucas was he was actually living on Bush campus when he was an undergrad, and he was older than me. And then I remember playing pickup football games with him over there, as a kid.
Really?
Yeah. So,
how'd that go for you?
not good. He's a little bigger than me.
Just a little bit. Too funny.
But I don't. So you've also had some good PRs. You've been on some national TV shows and promoting the spinal injuries and stuff like that. What was that like for you as an individual, being on all these national media shows?
I feel like I was blessed with this platform because I just know so many people who don't have this platform or wish they could share their story, or if I could give hope to somebody out there that might be going through a tough time with this injury. I don't take it for granted. I want to be on all these shows and be able to obviously show how I'm living my life, but also always realize that I do have a spinal cord injury and life is difficult. There are challenges and people need to see that and recognize that, and being able to show that I'm not the only one that's going through this. There's so many more people. I think it's more eye-opening. It's educational, informational, things that people may have never known or thought about. And I don't take that lightly, and I don't take it for granted.
Well, I got to tell you, my personal favorite was you on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh, man.
And I think that was a favorite of a lot of people nationally. It was a classic, it wanted to make you tear up for being proud for you, for your personal perseverance and comeback.
Let's just say I remember when I picked it, because I remember they asked me at the beginning of the season, like, which game are you going to come out of the tunnel? And I was like, the West Virginia game, because that was always one of the toughest games for us at home. Little did I know, on October 29th.
Yeah, I remember I was on the sideline right there. It was snowing.
A 5-foot blizzard of snow on the ground. And I remember waking up that morning. My mom said, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah. Let's just say I didn't warm up until about 5 a.m. the next morning. But it was a moment that lives on forever. And it was one of the coolest feelings that I had with my teammates locked in shoulder to shoulder, leading me out the tunnel, and us walking out together to the sideline and through the blizzard. I warmed up for about, whatever that took us, probably about a minute and a half to get to the sideline. I was nice and warm then, but after that, I was like, get me upstairs to the back to the booth. But what a moment.
Well, I want to thank Eric Legrand for stopping on Piscataway, and thank you for stopping at the Senior Center to talk to the Piscataway seniors. And best of luck, obviously, as the color commentator, but more importantly, as an entrepreneur. That is actually the backbone of small businesses in the United States. Individuals such as you that are willing to take a risk and start small businesses up, because you're a small business owner. And same thing with my wife, she's a small business owner. So I really could appreciate that. And then if anybody out there needs any more additional information, you can obviously contact Eric or the foundation for any additional information. But thank you for all the work that you've done nationally and worldwide in bringing about the needs of folks that have injuries such as spinal injuries such as you.
I appreciate this time and this opportunity to share my story with everybody. And yes, if you want to support, you can go to my website, ericlegrand52.com, and be a part of this journey. And
don't forget this September 7th walk before the Rutgers game. We're going to put that back up on the air.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
So with that, well, thanks, Eric, for stopping by.
Thank you.
We're here to swear in Officer Hayes. So Officer Hayes, would you want to introduce who's standing next to you?
That's my mom, Donna Hayes.
Okay, Donna, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, that's good news. Okay, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Sarah Hayes,
I, Sarah Hayes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in the State of New Jersey,
and the State of New Jersey,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of officer, probationary police officer,
of officer probationary police officer,
Piscataway Township,
Piscataway Township,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank you
officer.
very much, Mayor.
Congratulations, Mom. Now, one of the first things before she signs, she has to actually sign her oath right here.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate that. I'm sure Sarah appreciates that more than I do. Thank you for coming tonight as we swear in our newest officer to our police force, Sarah Hayes. It's both an honor and a privilege to welcome her. She comes to us from Westfield Police Department. She brings with her 2 years of law enforcement experience and a commitment to the community she serves. Prior to here, she was a student at Alvernia University. Followed by that, she became a station house adjustment coordinator and then a 911 dispatcher before becoming an officer in Westfield, which is a testament to her commitment to community service. So join me in welcoming Sarah. I hope you have a great career here and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Congratulations. I want to thank everybody for coming out today for this swearing-in ceremony for Officer Hayes.
Thank you.
Say bike safety. Bike
Here at the Bike Rodeo, we're all about safety and also sharing the road with our other cyclists. We also have professionals here helping our young riders fit into the helmet properly. It's very important to have a properly fitted helmet for better safety. We also have our Piscataway officers assisting our young riders in our bicycle safety while they're on the road through our obstacle courses.
We're over here at Kennedy Library and with Assemblyman Joe Danielsen, who's happened to Constituency Day here, where you have periodically constituents, Piscataway residents, not just Piscataway, but anybody within the 17th district can stop by if they have, you have your staff here, yourself, constituent services. So, what is the importance as a state assembly member of having other than meeting at your own assembly office first, going out on the road and coming to the various towns?
Well, I made a commitment from the first day I was in office to be about the service. And that's why my motto is always at your service. It's not just in Trenton cutting new laws and budgets, but it's really reaching out to people where they are. So we encourage people to call, email, or come to our office. But if you can't come to us, we'll come to you. So we go to people's homes, but we also go and do events like today where we'll just set up in the library a temporary one-day office. And we've been doing that from day one.
So it seems like, because I know a lot of times the mayor's office and the council members get questions about state legislative matters and or sometimes federal issues. So we more or less are like the traffic conductors to steer them to whatever state senators or state assemblyman office or Congressman Frank Pallone's if there's something
You
out
and
of the
I
ballot.
are the customer service department for
Yeah.
all the other departments.
That's right. but it's continuous, and because the state government and the whole is a very multifaceted agencies involved. So it's a little bit more intricate than the general public realizes.
That's true, and you know it from your position as a mayor in a very prominent town in Middlesex County that people will come to us for all sorts of needs and looking to us to help them. Sometimes we proxy them to other departments and other resources, and but sometimes it's all a matter of educating, like the NJ Stay program, the Anchor program, the Senior Freeze program, housing, food shortages, education, health, security. Your office, like my office, we do it all.
So we also, right here, you've been for the last several years, you've been having an initiative over the summers leading up to when school starts about a backpack initiative.
That's
You know
right.
what you mean?
This is actually my 9th year doing this. We collect backpacks and we collect the supplies for backpacks. And we put them together in backpack kits.
Spider-Man.
And we get them in the hands of the students starting in middle of August through September, because our philosophy, like many others that have adopted this, start off a student the first day with what they need, has a better projectile for their success in school. And no child should be left behind. So, and we give them out regardless of need, or regardless of school or where you live. If you want one and we have one, we're going to give it to you. And we've done thousands every year for 9 years. And right now, and we get help. We get help from other groups like the local PBAs. They give hundreds, churches. And also, we also get help getting them to the students. Not only the Board of Eds, but churches and nonprofit organizations help me to give out. Because I can't get to everybody.
You know what I'm thinking about when I was going, grade school. At that time, you didn't have a backpack like this. You had a large briefcase or gym bag. Remember the old gym bags?
Absolutely.
That everybody walked around with an old gym bag, like a plastic gym bag with a hard band, and that's what you had your book bags
with
in.
the two handles.
That's what you had the two handles.
But what student would not want this backpack? This is my favorite. I look adorable with this backpack. So, but the big reward is seeing a young person walk away with a fully equipped backpack and seeing that smile, that look of comfort. They're not stressed anymore. And one thing I know about all students, they just want to be like everybody else. So every student should have a backpack. And I've committed to making that goal true every year.
So is there a number or a place that folks can donate the backpacks?
Well, they can contact my office either by phone, that's 732-247-3999, or email us, or just come to my office at 334 Elizabeth Avenue in Franklin Township. Drop them off. Some people just leave them on the steps. Some people come on upstairs and have a cup of coffee with us. But you could donate the backpack or just the supplies or both. Do whatever you want. Whatever you can give, we'll receive. Yeah, and it's very successful in all 5 of my towns.
Well, I agree. Every child should have a backpack.
Yeah,
There.
yeah. You don't want to create groups with that kids that have and kids that don't have.
No, that's true. So I want to thank you for all these years that stopping by Piscataway here at the library.
Great library here in
Yeah.
Piscataway.
Yeah. And your staff seems like right now you're handling a constituent service right now. Somebody just walked in as we're speaking here and wants to have some government services that they have questions about.
We also, in my office, we hold evenings where you can make a private one-on-one appointment with me if you don't want to talk to staff and you want to talk with me, and we'll schedule an appointment. And sometimes you walk away with a pizza.
Yeah, how about that? I may
Pizza
come,
and service.
I may come over as long as you have sausage on it.
All right.
Well, I thank you for stopping by. I am Piscataway, Assemblyman Danielsen.
And thank you for helping me with
Yeah.
all these services. You've been a big help, and your entire team has been a big help. It wouldn't have been as successful if it wasn't for your help.
And I appreciate that. So we'll take it back to the studio. We're located here on International Avenue in the North Stelton region off of Stelton Road, between Stelton Road and Brotherhood Street. This is probably the second longest road project that we have dealing with the engineering department right now. A lot of challenges out here. And we'll get to Cedarwood in a few minutes. But one of the things how you doing there? One of the things I would like to talk about there is some of the challenges that we've had to deal with the engineering department and the residents, so to speak, out here. So Joe, take it away. This is Joe Herrera, our Supervisor Engineering.
So International Avenue has been under construction since 2022. The reason why it's taken so long is because we had issues with the utilities, the gas main. First of all, they had to replace the entire gas line from Brotherhood to Stelton Road, and that basically took most of the time, like over a year, to do all the relocations and all that. In the meantime, utility poles were being relocated, transfers done from PSC&G, Verizon, and the cable company. Then subsequently to that, once we started reconstructing the street, doing curbs and sidewalks, we came up to a portion that you see up in the northern part of. It's between Justice and Brotherhood. We found clay under the subgrade, and we have to over excavate the road and put in a geotextile membrane and stone, 2-inch, quarter-inch stone, and then build up the road again. What happens after that is we find out the water line and the gas lines are too shallow, so they needed to come back and relocate those, and that's right now what's going on. The water company is installing a new line 5 feet down, and
so in other words, Joe, what you're trying to politely say, this doesn't happen too often when there's a goof by the utility companies, because we do work with the utility companies ahead of time, let them know what roads we're going to be doing and the layout of the road, the engineering design, and where they have to be, so there's no conflicts with the storm drains and things like that.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but in this case, International was originally supposed to get a new water service from Stelton to Brotherhood, but the water company didn't have money at the time, and now they're getting about 800 feet worth of something?
It's about 800-900 feet of water line.
So basically from Brotherhood to whatever it is, to Justice, right here. So, but the good news is out here, at least there's all going to be no new gas, water. So
yes,
you know, in the grand scheme of things, this is just like Netherwood Avenue over in the Heights area where we did a full-blown reconstruction and they had all brand new utilities installed.
Yes.
And then that includes where we stubbed in some of the sump pump lines right into the storm drain system
into the
here
storm
too.
system, yeah. We took care of all that, so we shouldn't have any ponding issues as the project is done.
Or
And
icing
hopefully
issues during the winter time.
Yeah, or icing issues,
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get it done this year.
Yeah.
Keeping my fingers crossed and nothing else happens.
Because right now, as you see right here, the base work just really needs to be capped.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're holding the best. So we're now going to go out to a couple other streets. This has been going on for what, about 18 months?
This has been going on for like about 18 months, yes. Obviously, this is from our 22 road program, the curb program. We installed all the curbs, winding up the road. And as you can see, there's 3 utility poles are in conflict with the curb. We've been dealing with the different utility companies. We're down to Verizon now, and for the past, I guess, 6 to 9 months, we've been trying to relocate their utilities and remove the poles so we can finish up the curb work, and then DPW can come in and mill and pave the road.
And it hasn't been for lack of trying, dealing with the utility companies. It's one of the biggest challenges that we have.
Correct.
Right there. So, I mean, as you can see, we can't repave the road when you have a pole that's sticking a couple of feet off the curb line there.
Curb line, yeah.
So, and I know this has been a frustration with the residents over here in Ward 4 on this over here. We're Michelle Lombardi's, Councilwoman Lombardi's district, but just be patient. We do have some other construction down here, and this is one of the biggest challenges that we have as local government. We're at the mercy of the utility companies.
Correct. Yes.
So, you know, all these, as we saw on International and some of the other streets that we're going to go out on, you know, you're going to see the same issue over and over again. There's approximately 8 streets right now that are similar to this, that are all hung over from 2022, 2023 reconstruction list.
Yes, I met with the Verizon rep today, and I went over the different roads that we have, poles, and
For the
conflict
seventh
with the curve. Even though they have all the information, so we're hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that within a couple of weeks they'll dispatch the construction division here to do the relocations and removal of the poles.
Yeah, just be patient out here, folks. It'll look nice once it's finished.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go take a quick look over at Wynant's. Just started.
Yep.
All right, we're out here at the intersection of Wynant's and Hanover Street, over in the 4th Ward. This project actually was just underway a week and a half and change. Joe, you might want to explain what's going to transpire out here.
Okay, so this is our 2024 road project for Wynant's. We're going to be reconstructing the street from Washington Avenue to the dead end. The improvements include the widening of the road to 30 feet width, curbs, granite curbs as you can see, and sidewalks on both sides of the street. Like the mayor said, we just started this project last week. The contractors Discover Construction. They've done a couple other projects with us. We're hoping that this project moves smoothly. Get the utilities companies here. They're going to be relocating approximately 5 poles, most of them at each intersection. So we already have the contractor contacted PSCNG and the utilities to start the process to relocate the poles.
So we're hoping that this isn't going to be like a situation where the poles are going to be sticking out on the roadway, dealing at the mercy of utility companies. Unfortunately, we have a feeling it might end up that way.
It probably will end up that way.
Yeah. But this is all part of a greater, in this neighborhood where we're under engineering design for the entire length of Hanover.
Yep.
So we're a couple years away from that, and then we're also under engineering design for Smith Street.
Smith Street.
So we're slowly picking away at all the streets over here that never had true roadway beds.
Correct.
And one of the things that we're doing is that we're upgrading the sanitary sewer system that Department of Public Works Sewer Division will be taking care of down the Smith Street extension to make sure to upgrade the sewer line down there. So we could talk about that at a later date.
Correct.
So talking about sewers, we're going to head over to Cedarwood now and talk about a little bit of the challenges that we had over there.
Okay.
Right. We're now out on Cedarwood Drive, so from the intersection of Glenwood Drive and the dead end there. This has been a very big challenge. It's probably the longest running engineering project we have right now ongoing in town. You might want to explain a little of the challenges that we had out here, Joe, and that doesn't include the sanitary sewer issue.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll take it from after the replacement of the sanitary sewer that we did. The next challenge was to upgrade the storm sewer system, and what we end up doing was we lined the pipe instead of replacing the pipes. It would have been a much bigger project. We decided to just go through the system and line it up, pipe it up. I think that project went very well.
Yes,
I think the system is working as it's supposed to. They clear up the jet out the lines. They took out a lot of garbage,
and
scooters,
hold on, I want to hold that
bikes.
thought very quickly. When you say took out a lot of garbage, what would happen is some of the neighbors were turning the big storm pipe into a storage area, just throwing all the debris in there. So then you wonder why you would have backup and flooding in the neighborhoods, because everybody, please don't do that. Storm drains are not built for putting
that,
debris and garbage in it. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So after that, the few heavy storms that we have have come over here and inspect the pipe system. Everything seems to be operating great. So I don't expect to see any more flooding on the road.
No.
We haven't seen it unless we get hit with a 500-year storm or something like that. So that being said, once that project was completed, we went on to the second phase of Cedarwood, which is what we're doing right now. And that's from Glenwood to the dead end. Again, that project includes widening up the cartway to 30 feet. We're only doing sidewalks on one section of the road, and that's being done. All those improvements are done. We have some utility poles that need to be relocated and removed, so that's a holdup.
So until that's finished, then we can't come in and cap off the roadway.
Correct. And the other issue is too, some of the residents are still on wells.
Yeah.
So we're giving them the chance to connect into the water system. And I think that paperwork is going now through the office about, some of the residents connecting into that. Because once we're down the road and paving and all that, then we trigger the 8-year moratorium, which won't be allowed to open up.
And I want to delve
road.
into that very quickly. What significance is? We're strongly suggesting people get off of their wells,
Yes.
especially when we're going to reconstruct the street, because, as Joe said, there's an 8-year moratorium on it. And in this day and age, with the laws on having to resell your house, being on well, and the testing being a little bit more stringent now, it's becoming more and more problematic for those folks that are on actual well water.
Correct. Yeah. And, the EP has been going around doing some of the testing on some of these residents' wells, and they're advocating to them to connect into the Cedar water.
But this is one of the things, we did finish the first phase of Cedarwood about 2 years ago.
Yep.
But this is the balance of it. So this is a critical street in this neighborhood, because this collects all the storm water basically for the entire neighborhood, and then goes out to by New Market Pond.
Yep.
So with that, we're going to go shoot over to the Wynwood section now. All right, we're over here in the Wynwood section. The next phase of first phase of Patton Avenue, and then the last phase of Elwood, where they both meet, where we awarded a contract for both streets. We are on the engineering design for the balance of Patton, but that's not going to happen next year. So Joe, take it away. What's transpiring out here?
So this project is the part of the 2024 program, and we're doing Patton Avenue from Brentwood to Elwood, and Elwood from 2nd Avenue to the dead end. We were lucky that these two projects were awarded to the same contractor, S&G Paving. So they've been working simultaneously on the two projects. As you can see, most of them include the widening of the cartway to 30 feet and installing Belgian curbs, and then just grading the area behind it. There's a little bit of work, stormwater improvements being done to it, and the contractor's moving pretty fast on this. They're doing repairs on driveways right now, and once they're done with that, they're going to come in, mill, and repave the road. So
and actually, this is a pretty easy job to do. There's really hardly any utility locations. But once again, we did send out the letters, as we always do, that if you want to tie up to public water, we strongly suggest you do that, because we don't like people, we don't open the roads up after that.
Correct. And I think there might be one or two residents over here that are still on well water. So well, hopefully they'll connect into the New Jersey water line.
So we're expecting to have this completed by November.
Yes, this should be completed by November of this year, if not sooner. I mean, they are moving pretty quick. So
it's a real cry, because when I first became mayor like 25 years ago, is that there was big objections about putting curbing in out in this section of town. When now everybody says, "Oh, how come we didn't do it sooner?" Because it turned out looking really nice out here.
Yes, it is, and doing the granite block curbing is always a great improvement to the neighborhood.
Yeah, so slowly within the next 2-3 years, we'll have the whole Wynwood section completed. And we're also doing the Woodfield development right now, some upgrades over there, which we could talk at a later date. But then the lower half of Patton Avenue, as I said, is under engineering design right now. And then Brentwood, this section of Brentwood's going to be under engineering.
Brentwood is going to be under design.
The last block and a half going by the park. Yeah. And I want to thank everybody for watching the August Eye on Piscataway. I appreciate you with the interview with Eric Legrand, and obviously Joe Herrera from our engineering department, and Assemblyman Joe Danielsen. We're going to leave you with a little bit of some of the concert series throughout. So we're encouraging people to still show up at the concert series, and keep an eye on our Wet Township website and Facebook page, because we do have a lot of ongoing events out there that we can't necessarily pick up during the show. So with that, we'll see you then, and enjoy the balance of August.
We have a wonderful concert season planned for you this year. We're going every Thursday night until August the 7th, so through August the 7th. So we plan to meet here with you every Thursday night throughout the summer. And I hope that you enjoy all of our concerts.
Sweet hello, second step, my heart's in low. Third step, I roll around and round and round and round and round. Oh well, I roll from town to town. Wow, 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 I go to life without a care. Wow, 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 and I'll be happy as a clown. Wow, 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 with my two fists of fire, but I'm going. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Everybody get home safe. Get home safe. God bless you. Thank you, guys.